Welcome to the Prosper Attorney Podcast with Janelle Cremé, your trusted estate planning attorney. Whether you're securing your legacy or protecting your loved ones, Janelle is here to guide you through the essential steps. Stay tuned for expert advice on estate planning, and don't forget, your first consultation is absolutely free.
Wondering how much time it takes to secure your family's future? Janelle Cremé demystifies the estate planning timeline and explains the key factors that can speed up or slow down the process. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Sophia Yvette, co-host / producer, back in the studio with attorney Janelle Cremé. Janelle, how's it going?
I'm good.
Hi. So, Janelle, let's get into it. How long does the estate planning process typically take?
Well, as I say a lot to anyone that's talking to me about it, honestly, it depends on the client. A lot of times it's because once we get started and people start seeing the questions they have to answer, they go, oh, I've never thought about this before. Honestly, it can go anywhere from 2 weeks to 6 months to a year. That's honestly on the long side. I would say average 1 to 2 months. And that depends also if you're just doing powers of attorney or if you're doing like a big trust.
So, Janelle, are there any examples that you'd like to provide of any of those situations?
Yeah, so sometimes I've had like people that say, you know what, we're going on vacation in a few weeks. We are really motivated. We're going to get through it really quickly. Can we get it done in 3 weeks? Yes, we've gotten it done actually probably 2.5 weeks, but the client has to stay on top of it, answer the questionnaire like in a day, and we go through. Generally what it takes is, they have to get me the questions so I can make them a draft. We have to have a meeting to go through everything, make sure everything's correct, and then they have to be available to sign it because here in Texas, we have to sign things in person with witnesses. So that's really on the fast side, but we can get it done fast if people know what they want and are willing to put the time in to get the work done. On the other hand, sometimes people get started on it and they start realizing, they may have some issues in their family that they want to make sure they plan for. So then we have to strategize. Once you start seeing some of the options, it looks different. So we change things over and over, or life happens and they go, oh, okay, we can't have this meeting. We have to change our meetings. That's usually the type of things that slow things down. Or when you're trying to plan for guardianship for your children, sometimes it's really hard to decide, who do I really want to raise my children? Or do I want the same people to raise my children as manage the money for the children? And those things can really stretch it out if you really haven't thought about it. So those are some of the things that make it go longer. And then if you just go on vacation or you're busy, you just don't have time to read through some documents, make sure they're correct, have a meeting with an attorney, find time to come sign documents.
So, Janelle, I know you've covered some of the factors. What about the main factors that determine how long this estate planning process takes? What are those main factors?
Time, having available time, and prioritization. I would say the number one factor is making it a priority to do it. That's honestly why people don't even make the appointment to have the consultation in the first place. So it's a scary thing to plan for what happens if I die or become incapacitated. So sometimes it can be paralyzing, even once you take the first step, say, we're going to do this. And then you start going through the questionnaire and say, oh my gosh, I actually have to pick people for this. And that slows people down too. So prioritization, the scariness of what decisions you actually have to make, and then having the time to actually sit down and do it. I think that's my personal experience in it.
So, Janelle, do you have any words of wisdom that can make that process sound a little less scary?
Not doing it makes it worse. So I have seen it way worse on the other end. If you don't have these papers, it takes up more time and more headache to overcome it. So probate is way more time for your family and your loved ones, and dealing with not having a power of attorney over a loved one. So really, you have to think about, I'm doing this because I love my family. So that's a really good way to overcome it and think about it. So it doesn't help for everybody, but if you've seen it enough, I often get clients coming to me after they have dealt with family that hasn't planned or family that has planned, and they said, oh, this was a relief. Let's go do it ourselves. So,
how often should an estate plan be reviewed or updated after it's completed?
Excellent question. So it depends on where a family is in life. I keep in touch with my clients annually just to see if they need changes. Very few people do. A trust in general probably doesn't need to be updated very often. Things like powers of attorney probably need to be updated every 5 to 10 years because the law changes, so you want to make sure they're still accurate. And the older documents are, the harder it is to prove that it's still your wishes. So that's kind of my general recommendation. But if big things change in life, like you don't want somebody to be your trustee anymore or your power of attorney, then you should change it.
Most definitely.
Yes. But believe it or not, people forget. So, and if you don't want someone to be your beneficiary anymore, that's a good time to go. Okay.
So Janelle, what about any extra fees included with making these changes? Is it a costly process?
For me, I think it's not too bad. The biggest bulk of things, I do packages to set it up initially. That's going to be your biggest bulk of your fee. I think it's not as bad to make little changes here and there because that's where it's just a smaller change. If you come back to me or same attorney that prepared it, it's going to be a smaller amount of work because they have all of your information in the first place. So it'll be a smaller hourly fee, really quick change usually. If you have something like a trust, it's much easier to change than something like a will because it's usually better to start all over again with that. So changing things, not too bad for most things. And so it's going to be just a small little fee, couple hours of work, doesn't cost too much.
Okay. And what about beforehand? Are there steps people can take beforehand to make the process more efficient?
Oh, that's a great question. Start thinking about what would you want your family to look like if you weren't there? Who would you want to be in your children's lives, your spouse's lives? Where would you want your money to go? What kind of legacy would you want to leave behind so that you have a list of people? And then also think about where's your money? What kind of other things do you have? What type of accounts do you have so that you can start thinking about all these different things? See a financial advisor or an accountant if you need it so that you can start getting things all in one place.
Love it, Janelle. Catch you in the next episode. Have a fantastic rest of your day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Prosper Attorney Podcast with Janelle Cremé. Ready to take control of your future? Visit prosperattorney.com or call 469-714-2280. That's 469-714-2280 to schedule your free consultation. Protect what matters most. Your legacy starts here.